Here, have a seat right here. Have a seat right here. Got a Spanish-speaking male, lacerations through the throat, and looks like he was punched in the face, so probably head injuries.
It began like a typical Saturday evening in Pensacola, Florida. 25-year-old Saul Lopez believed he was meeting someone new, someone who had caught his attention online. To him, it was a chance for a casual dinner, a brief connection, a normal weekend. But what awaited him was anything but ordinary. Within hours, Saul would find himself in a fight for his life.
What's that?
No pick España.
You okay?
No pick España.
Oh, here, have a seat right here. Have a seat right here.
Ensnared in a plot so violent and calculated it defied comprehension. The night started innocuously. Saul arrived at a residence on Oak Forest Drive, unaware that the woman he had been speaking with online was setting the stage for a deadly trap. Moments after he stepped inside, everything changed. Saul was suddenly inside a silver Honda Odyssey with the woman.
It appears as if they knew what they were going to do. In fact, I think they tell him what they were going to do, so much so that they take not only his money, they take his cell phone, then ultimately they take his shoes. So it seems like they took everything that they could, including trying to take his life, which ended up being an attempted murder, a cold and calculated.
Later identified as Natalie Fanica and a man named Nafis Reynolds. The drive began calmly, almost mundane. But then, without warning, the atmosphere shifted. Saul was attacked repeatedly, punched, beaten, and stabbed. The assault was brutal, unrelenting. By the time the car reached a nearby bridge, Saul was left disoriented, bleeding, and fighting to stay conscious. At the bridge, the violence escalated further. Both Natalie and Nafis forced Saul out of the vehicle. They beat him mercilessly before slashing his throat from ear to ear. Then, as if trying to erase every trace of their crime, they threw him 50 feet into the Escambia River. So complete was their plan that they even burned Saul's stolen Honda Odyssey, leaving investigators with little physical evidence of the attack. Yet Saul refused to die. The river did not claim him, and despite his injuries, he managed to crawl to safety. Hours later, near a Cumberland Farms convenience store on Scenic Highway, a sheriff's deputy would spot a man stumbling barefoot across the roadway. Saul's body was a tapestry of violence, blood-soaked, swollen, and battered, but his spirit was unbroken. Every step he took toward help was an act of defiance against those who had tried to end his life. When he reached the deputy, communication was difficult. Saul spoke little English and had lost a significant amount of blood, leaving him disoriented and in shock. But through broken words and gestures, he was able to convey the horror he had endured. It became immediately clear that this was no random attack. The level of planning, the choice of location, and the methodical destruction of evidence all pointed to something far more sinister. A cold, deliberate attempt at murder. Saul's survival marked the beginning of the unraveling of a calculated criminal scheme. Detectives quickly learned that this was not the first time Natalie and Nafis had lured a victim. About a week before the attack, Saul had received a Facebook friend request from Natalie, who called herself Crazy Fansa online. From Saul's perspective, it seemed ordinary, a friendly connection, an invitation to meet. But each interaction had been a subtle test, designed to gauge his willingness to comply and trust her. Their first meeting seemed harmless. Saul brought food, the pair spent time together, and nothing appeared unusual.
Hi, how are you, Harmon?
You may.
Good afternoon. Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Lionel Martinez Jr., M-A-R-T-I-N-E-Z.
Mr. Martinez, where are you employed?
With the Escambia County Sheriff's Office.
In what capacity?
I am an investigator of major crimes.
But the following day, the true nature of Natalie and Nafis's plan became horrifyingly clear. They insisted on driving Saul to pick up a cat, a request that seemed trivial, but in reality, it was a manipulation. Natalie was asserting control, observing Saul's response, and confirming that he would follow instructions without resistance, a key factor in their deadly setup. Once back at the house, the scenario escalated. Nafis produced a firearm and the attack began. Saul was beaten, restrained, and eventually taken to the bridge.
Once they were there, They had some drinks, they had some hamburgers, the victim wanted to leave. And they said, okay, so they just went back. At that time, he told him, again, the blackmail began and with the pistol in his hands.
The level of precision in the assault suggested premeditation. Every action, from the initial Facebook contact to the burning of the van, was orchestrated to terrorize, steal, and almost kill. The assailants seemed to believe they had executed the perfect crime. But Saul's resilience defied their expectations. Even after his throat had been slashed and his body battered, he clung to life. In the early morning hours, he swam to a small patch of land, hiding in the darkness while bleeding and exhausted. When daylight arrived, he flagged down a passing boat, which helped him reach the convenience store where law enforcement could finally intervene. His survival was extraordinary, but it also became the linchpin in bringing his attackers to justice. The investigation revealed additional details that underscored the premeditation. Deputies located the burned Honda Odyssey nearby, confirming that the assailants intended not only to harm Saul, but to erase evidence of their crime. Police also discovered that Natalie and Nafis were involved in other similar attacks. Saul's account, pieced together through translation and careful detective work, showed a pattern. Victims were chosen online, lured to a controlled environment, and then assaulted for robbery and intimidation. Over the following days, law enforcement traced the attack back to Natalie's house on Oak Forest Drive. Surveillance footage from local stores, combined with Saul's recollection and the investigation of previous incidents, allowed officers to build a comprehensive picture of the crimes. It became evident that Natalie's role as the initial lure was essential to the plan, while Nafis's role as enforcer ensured the attack's brutality. Together, they operated as a team, one orchestrating and one executing. Despite the severity of the attack and the clear evidence, prosecutors faced challenges. Saul's initial identification had occurred while he was in the hospital, injured and medicated, which could have made the defense argue that his testimony was unreliable. To counter this, detectives later arranged a photo lineup, allowing Saul to definitively identify both Natalie and Nafis. The identification confirmed what the evidence already suggested. The attack was deliberate, calculated, and almost fatal. The legal process revealed more about the attacker's motivations and methods. During interrogations, Natalie inadvertently admitted that the assault on Saul was not an isolated event. Just days later, she and Nafis executed a similar scheme against another Spanish-speaking man. The pattern was chilling. Targeted individuals, online lures, pre-planned assaults, and attempts to eliminate evidence. Their willingness to repeat the crime demonstrated both audacity and a disturbing lack of remorse. Ultimately, the court imposed serious consequences. Both Natalie Fanica and Nafis Reynolds entered no contest pleas to charges including attempted second-degree murder, carjacking, and kidnapping. Their sentences, capped at 30 years, ensured that neither would be free to continue their violent schemes. In court, both attempted to contextualize their actions, citing personal struggles and external influences. Yet the meticulous planning and sheer violence of their crimes left little room for leniency. The judge emphasized that the attacks were deliberate, coordinated, and nearly fatal. Even with the perpetrators behind bars, the story does not end neatly. Saul Lopez survived, but the physical and psychological scars of that night remain. Trauma from such an event is rarely measured in years or months. It lingers in quiet moments, in vigilance, and in the lasting fear of vulnerability. Saul's courage, however, ensured that justice was served. He endured a level of violence most people cannot imagine and emerged alive, a testament to human resilience in the face of extreme brutality. The case of Saul Lopez serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers that can hide behind ordinary interactions. A seemingly innocuous online connection, a casual dinner invitation, became the entry point for calculated violence. It highlights the importance of vigilance, the risks inherent in trusting strangers, and the potential for ordinary routines to intersect with extraordinary danger. In the end, Saul's story is both a warning and a testament, a warning of the predators who manipulate trust and exploit vulnerability, and a testament to the strength of a survivor who refused to become a statistic. While Natalie Fanica and Nafis Reynolds will spend decades in prison, the memory of that night and the courage it took to survive remain indelibly etched in Saul's life. His survival, against all odds, ensured that two dangerous individuals were removed from the community and that the story of that fateful Saturday in Pensacola would be told, remembered, and never repeated. The truth of Saul Lopez's experience is stark, brutal, and unsettling, but it also reveals something remarkable about the human spirit. Even when faced with unimaginable violence, survival is possible, and justice can be achieved. The scars, both visible and invisible, may never fully heal, but they serve as reminders of both the fragility and the resilience of life, and the courage it takes to face darkness and emerge on the other side.